You have the control of your own life, what you want to do. Whatever the success or failure in the course of this learning, there is a satisfaction in it that whatever I'm doing, either I'm failing or I'm getting success, it's all my decision. That's a freedom.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 28 of the Immigrant Slide podcast, where we share stories of people who left their country to chase a better life. I'm Daniel De Biasi, and in this episode I had the pleasure of chatting with Arif. Arif is a scientist from Bangladesh and left his country to have a better education. After sending thousands of emails to many professors in Europe, they offered him the opportunity to do this Ph.D. in Pisa, Italy. While in Italy, he won the Best Young Scientist Award, which opened him the door to a new university in the US. He's been living in the US for the last 7 years and managed to receive his green card fairly easily because he's from Bangladesh. In this episode, we will discuss the immigration path for students who want to become scientists or continue their studies abroad for better opportunities. Before moving to my conversation with Arif, make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, and it would be great if you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser. And now, please enjoy my conversation with Arif. Hi Arif, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for giving me this opportunity, Daniel. How are you?
Pretty good, thanks, pretty good. Arif, you're originally from Bangladesh and you lived in Italy and the US. But let's start from the beginning. Why did you leave Bangladesh?
So it's basically for higher education. So after I finished my master's degree, I had an aptitude for the research career. So I wanted to go for higher education. And also the field where I was working, it was polymer science field. And especially in our country, we don't have many industries or many research institute where we focus on polymer science. Yeah, it's because also in Bangladesh, the main research domain is actually the agricultural field and the medical science. So for the material science, we don't have many research institutes. So I was working in a research institute, and while I was working at Bangladesh Atomic Energy Commission, after finishing my master's degree, I was working on several different research projects and was applying outside, and then got an opportunity to work at Pisa, University of Pisa. And that's how I moved out of my country, basically for education and for research career, right?
So you're a scientist, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right now, my affiliation is with BASF Chemical Company. I'm working as a polymer scientist.
Okay. So it was easy for you to leave the country because you were a scientist? Or was any easier for you because you were a scientist to leave the country?
So, for higher education, there is a process. Especially if you want to pursue like Ph.D., then there is a process, and these processes are different for different countries, and you just have to be familiar with those processes. For example, if you want to go for a PhD in Europe, you basically have to discuss with different professors about your research interest and their research field. If there is a good match, if there is a professor who wants to take you because you have the right background for the research, then he will support you in the admission and also the funding. And in the US, it is different. In Britain, it is different. So I chose to go to Europe because also my siblings, my brothers and sisters, they also live in Europe. So
okay.
Yeah. So the process, I was saying that the process was, it's a very difficult process in the sense that you have to write a lot. You have to know the research fields of those professors and university, and then apply for different scholarship opportunities and write many emails. I remember that I wrote like more than 1,000 emails to different professors. It was fun. I don't feel that I work really hard. I actually work hard, but I really enjoyed the whole time. That's why I have all the good memories. No frustrations anymore, Of course, there was frustration at that time, but I only see that it actually gave me a lot of learning. It was a very learning experience, very good learning experience.
Okay, so the hard part was to find the support and find that the
Right.
professor will take you into their country.
Right.
But was the immigration process easier because you had the support from people from the other country?
Yeah, I mean, especially like if you go to European universities, if the professors support you, embassy treat those visa applications very differently. I did not have any trouble. So the university provided me all the necessary documents, the supporting documents. I had to submit those while I was applying for visa, and it was quite easy. No hurdles, no roadblocks. I basically had to prove my education background and all the supporting documents from University Pisa. Yeah, and that's how I moved out. That's how.
Which makes sense. I mean, if it's immigration makes it hard for people like you, like a scientist, to move to another country, we're all screwed. It's like,
Right, right.
country needs people like you, like I train professional.
Yeah, we and then after we got that opportunity, I mean, like I moved out and then learned a lot. It's a different education system, different environment, different way of teaching. They also trained me, right? So I'm also grateful for their training too. So,
No, absolutely. I mean, even the culture difference between Bangladesh and
right.
Italy might be
Yeah, right.
pretty difficult, pretty different. Even like
Yeah.
learning the language. Do you speak Italian now?
Poco poco.
Poco poco. I mean, how long did you stay in Italy for?
I lived in Italy for almost 4 years.
Okay, so it's enough to learn the basic of a language, but no, probably not being fluent, especially in a language like
Yeah,
Italian.
right. The funny thing was like I had friends and I had two technicians in the lab, and those technicians were always helping me, but they could not speak in English. So they were speaking in Italian, and I was in speaking in English, and we had very good understanding, and we are still very good friends. So yeah, Isabella and Gloria.
Okay, they were using a lot of gesture to communicate
A
because
lot
that.
of gesture, right? I understood like very little Italian, and they were trying to make it as simple as possible, and I was trying to make English as simple as possible. So it was fun, you know.
You guys both learn another language, I guess.
Right, right. But especially in the university, almost every students, all faculties, they speak in English. The problem is outside of the university, right? When you go to a grocery shop or you go to a restaurant, how do you order food? But I learned all those things. I can order foods. I understand the words now. I feel that after I leave Italy, I think I understand Italian language better than before. I don't know why and how. It's probably because I learned the language so many times. It's in my brain. I don't know. It's funny because I went back to Italy in 2018 with my wife, and I met many of my friends. I was speaking in Italian with them, and especially with Isabella and Gloria, and they say, "So you speak the Italian even better than before? What's happening? Are you learning Italian in the U.S.?"
That's funny. And did you feel like you brought something of the culture, the Italian culture, back to
Oh,
the US?
definitely. Coffee, drinking coffee 5 times a day. So I was so used to it, and I loved coffee in Italy, right? But the thing is, when I moved out of Italy, the coffee is very different in the US.
It is.
So yeah, it's difficult to drink coffee 5 times a day now.
Yeah, especially if you drink like a cup of coffee, which is the normal, like a standard in the USA.
It's like a big cup of coffee. Everything is so large here.
Yeah.
I remember that the first time I went to a McDonald's, they were asking me, "Do you want the Coke? Do you want medium, small, or large?" I said large, and large means it's like a big jug. I said it's probably for the whole family. It's not for one person.
Yeah, true. Even like I remember when people in New Zealand and even in America, they say me like drink an espresso. They call it a shot of coffee.
Right. Yeah.
That's a coffee.
Yeah. my English was also kind of Italian English at the beginning. And after almost 3 years, I was speaking almost like my technician friends, Isabella and Gloria, you know. And at the beginning, when I moved out of Italy, and I was feeling like, hey, I'm talking like my Italian friends now. I had some Italian dialects in my English. But then also, like, I have seen my Italian friends, like, they're very organized in most of the things, and I was also working out when I was in Italy. Most of them actually work out pretty well. I think probably more than 90% of Italian people, they work out.
I think that's like the culture about how you present yourself. There's a lot of like the culture is about like how you you dress yourself, how you
Exactly.
present yourself.
And another thing, how you present yourself, right? Everyone, I have seen that people take care of the way they look, the way they dress up. It's a very important part of the culture. Like, if you're going out socially with people try to dress up pretty well. It's not like in the US, it's pretty casual. It's always pretty casual. It's like in the minimum level of casualty, you can say. But yeah, I have seen that. And also, my professor used to take me for lunch like every month. Then we used to talk about culture, and that's one thing he brought to my attention, that you will see everyone is dressed up pretty well here in Italy. Doesn't matter what's the job, but everyone will dress up very well.
Yeah, no, totally. I know. Since I moved out from Italy, I save a lot of money in clothes because I don't need it.
Yeah.
But the part of how you present yourself, do you think like is similar to your culture in Bangladesh? Because you guys have like this nice, colorful like dresses,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. For every occasion, we would dress up differently. Like, we have our religious festival, then we have our own cultural festival. You may not know this. In Bangladesh, we have holidays for all religious festivals. So doesn't matter if it's like, we are a Muslim populated country, right? It's like more than 90% people are Muslim in Bangladesh, but you get holiday also for Christian Christmas. You get holiday for Hindu festivals. So we celebrate the all different types of religious festivals in our country, and we dress up differently for them too.
So you mean like a public holiday,
It's
recognized by
public holiday, right? Yeah, it's like public holiday given by the government, right? So that people can celebrate together.
Oh, that's good. I mean,
Which I don't see here.
no, I wish we had more of that. So we have like a
Yeah,
more time off from work.
right.
And so from Italy, then you decided to move to the US, and it was because of the job opportunity, because you wanted to move to America.
I mean, I did not actually have a plan to move to the US. I mean, like, I remember that I went to a conference, and during that conference, there was a plenary lecture on multilayer polymeric systems and on a biomimetic concept. And I liked it so much. And this was given by Professor Eric Baer. And at the time, I was at the beginning of my third year of my PhD. And I actually talked to him, and I introduced myself, and I showed him my interest to join his group, although he was not interested at the beginning. But then there was this competition in that conference for a Best Young Scientist award. And I did not put my name. It was my friend who actually put my name. Silvia Anelli, and she's a professor now at University of Brescia. And she put my name, and on the fifth day, we had a gala dinner. So during the dinner session, they were announcing the winner. And I was so surprised. They were announcing my name, and I was thinking, why they're calling my name? Okay. And yeah, he was a professor from University of Texas at Austin. And he was calling my name, and yeah, and I realized that, okay, I won the award, and I went there. Yeah. And then Professor Eric Baer actually told me that, Arif, you can now join my group if you really like to join my group. So, and then I was in touch with him, and right after finishing my PhD, I actually moved to the US. That was March 30th, 2013.
So you decided to move to the US. you were a little bit further away from your family because you were further away from Bangladesh. You were further away from your siblings in Europe, right?
Right, right. And then I actually didn't have any plan to stay in the US for a long time. But whatever, life changes, right? I got married. I got married in 2013, December 2013. And then after getting married, I started thinking, okay, I think I need to settle down somewhere. And things were going pretty well in the US. I was doing a postdoc at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland. And then I started thinking about settling down here in the US. So I started the immigration process, like applying for a green card here.
Even speaking of the green card, because it didn't take too long for you to get a green card compared to other countries where it can take like 10 years to get a green card. For
Right.
you, it was much shorter.
Yeah. What I heard like from my friends that usually people from Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, the application process can be long depending on like who is applying. So people from Bangladesh, usually it takes 9 to 12 months to know the results of their application, of their petition. But for other countries like India, China, it can take a lot longer time because there are more applications. For my application, it took almost 2 years. It's also because the application got backlogged, and then the application was sent from one center to another center. So there was some problems in the processing of the applications. But then I was also interviewed, and it was a very interesting interview, a very interesting experience during the interview. But
sorry, why was it interesting?
it's because it was a self-petition. So there are many different categories when you apply for a green card. So I was applying as a research scientist. Okay. So the application category was national interest waiver. So it's basically showing that my research profile, my research background can help this country. If I stay in country for a long time in this profession, the country will get benefited. And so you submit the petition by yourself. So in my case, there was no institution or organization who will file the application for me. It was a self-petition. But it seems the counselor, he actually did not understand my petition very well. During the interview, after the first 2 minutes of introduction, the second thing he told me was that you have to withdraw your application. It was quite frustrating that almost 2 years I had to wait for the call. And then during the interview, right after 2 minutes, they say that you have to withdraw your application. It was kind of a blow to me. And so I immediately got I reacted pretty strongly. And I said that I was asking why you are saying this. And all the reason that he was providing, it was actually not correct. And I said that I'm pretty well educated on my application. You were saying that my application was filed by an institute, which is not correct. It's a self-petition. And then there was a question between the definition of a research scientist and a scientist. So I had a job. When I was being interviewed, I also informed them that I'm moving from one state to another state and from one job to another job, but I'm not changing my role. My role in the company is a scientist role. And my petition was a research scientist. But they're the same thing.
Just a different job title.
Very slightly different job title, but it's the same thing. But so I had to define that for them, but they were not very convinced. So what I had to do, after 30 minutes of frustrating discussion, they gave me a RFE. They call it RFE. It's like request for evidence.
Okay.
The research scientist and the scientist are the same thing. Then I actually got support from my company. They put me in touch with a lawyer who actually just had to write an email. And the lawyer also told me this is unfortunate that this has happened to you because it was not supposed to happen to you because your petition was quite different and you should have got your green card by this time now. But anyway, but right after that letter, we actually got the green card within 2 weeks.
Oh, awesome. I actually had a similar event with my application here in Canada because I was providing points because in Canada, how you get a PR is through, I don't remember if it was like a PR or was the work permit. Anyway, the process was you have to have a certain number of points. And they didn't take in consideration my points, or didn't want to take in consideration the points from my education, because I was telling that I'm an electrician by trade in Italy, and I got that diploma, that qualification at high school. But here in Canada or in North America, you don't learn that at high school. You have to go to college. You have to go specifically to a school to learn to become an electrician. So they didn't want to recognize that. So I had to prove with a lawyer and send a kind of letter as to why they should recognize that, because in Italy the system is different. So I had a similar situation in my case.
Yeah, it's just different country, different laws, different way of thinking, right?
So now you decide to stay in the US. Why? Is there any reason why you prefer the US and not experimenting and try the other countries?
Now I have a job. So postdoctoral job it's not like a permanent job, or you don't want, it's a transition point for the researchers. Either you stay in the academia as a faculty, or you can go to a research institute, or you can join a company as a scientist. So it's a pretty common trend among different researchers that right after PhD, either you join the academia or you go to industry. So I stayed in the academia for 6 years. And then now in the company, since you can say that I have like settled job. So I still did not give a second thought of moving out of the country right now. It may happen or it may not happen. I'm still not decided.
What if that good opportunity comes up in another country where they offer you a position, or you find that the study that they're doing is really interesting? Would you do that in that case?
Yeah, I mean, I always had interest to actually learn, stay in different countries, learn different cultures, and get more experiences. I was really enjoying that. Now, at this point, I feel that I want to actually settle down somewhere where I can also grow in my career, and also bring some breakthroughs, or do something interesting in the job. So I'm giving myself some time to understand this industrial job, how the career can move. And then also I'm also open for opportunities. If I see there is a better opportunity, and then as a family we can make a decision to move, then yeah, we can. Then I will. Yeah, as I said, I'm not decided yet.
Yeah.
That I will live the rest of my life in the US. I don't know.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But would you have the support of your family, of your wife? Is she okay with moving?
Yeah, I mean, she had some challenges. We got married in 2013, and then she moved to the US permanently with me in 2015. She had to finish her undergrad. So she finished her undergrad and then moved here and had to wait 3 years. This is a reality for a postdoctoral researcher. As a postdoc, you don't earn a lot of money. So it was difficult for me to support my wife's education here. Here, the education is quite expensive. If you want to go for a master's degree, it's actually very expensive. It depends on the university, depends on the program. It may take $30,000 to $60,000. So for 3 years, I could not support her. She was like extremely helpful to me. She was very compromising. But right now she's actually finishing her master's degree. So she's getting her master's degree next year in summer.
Okay, so it's not just your career; it will be even her career that the things needs to kind of like join and find a good spot in the middle.
Right, and then she also has some career goals, right? But it's not that like we are too very strict. We have to decide like what we want to do, but we decide it together. So
that's a good way to approach these changes because affect both of you.
Right, yeah.
And I don't want to put you on the spot, but because now you're a scientist and with your knowledge, do you think you will at some point have the feeling of the call to go back to your country and try to provide that help, that whatever you learn in this year into another country, would you going back and help your country somehow?
It's a very good question. I mean, this is a feeling I think every immigrants have in back of their mind. Either it is subconscious or in the conscious level. I always feel that I have responsibility toward my country. I still feel that I will help my country with my knowledge at one point. So I actually have a few plans, and I'm going to try that. I also feel that whenever you have a plan, you should try it, and you should not wait for like, okay, after 5 years I will do it, or after 10 years. Not like that. I actually have some immediate plan that I want to do. I at least want to get involved in a university and provide my learning in the field and create a research field. And this way I can probably educate some students or in the field, in the research field. I feel that at one point, probably I will go back Bangladesh, but I don't know when. I don't have a very clear plan for this. But I always feel that I should give back my country.
And Italy is things for the past, or you think you will go back to
Italy is
Italy?
my second home. I always call Italy as my second home. So it's the first country I moved, right, outside my home country. So I have a lot of emotional attachment to the country too.
It's like your first girlfriend.
Exactly. Right. It's like your first girlfriend. Yeah, you can lose her, but you can still have the emotion and everything, right? Yeah, exactly.
And do you have any regrets about leaving Bangladesh, about leaving your country?
Regrets. It's a very complicated feeling, I can tell you. Like, I I left the country when I was a student. So I did not have any professional challenge or any challenge with my livelihood in the country. I had pretty good life, right? But a few things, for example, I miss my parents. I miss my friends. I miss my city where I grew up, right? But regrets, I don't know. Probably it's not regret, because I still feel that I'm still part of that country. I don't feel like that I'm mentally away from the country. I always feel that I'm in the country. That's my feeling. I don't know. I don't feel that I'm too. I'm like maybe I'm physically away, but I never felt that I'm mentally away from my country. And I also have a lot of connections in my country, and probably that's one reason. But also one thing, it's very interesting. After leaving my home country, I feel that now I'm a citizen of this planet. You know,
Yeah.
and the whole planet is my country. So we became a citizen of the planet. So yeah, it's not a regret. It's a very it's a very complex feeling. Sometimes I miss my country a lot, and I also feel that I'm living a good life here. The career that I'm pursuing here, probably I would not be able to have the same career in my country. I would have to find a different profession. So at this point I can say I'm quite happy whatever I am now. I don't have any regret. I feel my destiny took me here, and maybe it can change over time. Who knows?
Yeah, true. You never know. And at what age did you leave your country?
I was 25 years old.
Okay, so you lived like a good portion of your life in the country. So you lived your countries. No, we're not like too
Exactly.
young.
That's another point, right? Like when you live 25 years in a country, you grew up in that country. It's actually very difficult to forget everything. And also, I was very well educated on my culture, my religion, and everything. So yeah, then that's why I feel that it would be very difficult to become a citizen of another country. It's about learning and accepting.
Yeah. At the same time, I don't know. It's yes, you lived 25 years in your country, but at the same time, like the word the air quote the best year of your life, because when you're young, you don't have responsibility. You're just having fun, and that's the good thing. And now. I think even myself, I left Italy pretty much at the same time. It was like a 27 when I left. But going back now, life will be completely different. Your friends, they are not always there to hang out with you and fun and go drinking. It's a family now. The lifestyle will be completely different.
It's quite different. Like when I went back home 2 years ago, I remember that like the generation is quite different. It's like a decade of difference in the mindset. In fact, if you look at the demographic of the South Asian countries, they change quite significantly. You do not see the changes, I think, like infrastructure and in the society in the Western countries. It's quite steady. But if you look at the Asian part, it's actually quite changing. It changes rapidly in a short time. You look at the infrastructure, you look at the society, it changes quite rapidly. So like I see that, like when I went back home, like it's been almost 11 years that I'm living abroad. So when I talk to like younger people who are like 12 years or 15 years younger than me, their mindset and my mindset, I see some gaps, and I feel pretty bad that why I'm not thinking the same way that they are thinking. Like they're quite young, they're more energetic, and I feel that they're even smarter than us, than our generation. So yeah, there's a lot of change back home. A lot of change, but I see that there is a lot of good progress in the education, in the society. I see that the country is doing very good, much better than before.
And what was the biggest upside about immigrating?
Biggest upside, I'd say, I mean, like when I look at the education system, especially like I moved out to build my career, right? So I can only give you from that perspective the upside, the advantage of being an immigrant. So I feel that it's all advantages actually for me. I'm not stuck at home. I moved out of my comfort zone. I moved out of my own home and started facing all the challenges, real world challenges outside home, in a different culture, in a different mindset, and then continuously changing professions. And I see the biggest upside is that my career, my research career, I feel that in country like Bangladesh, we do not invest a lot of money in research and development. We don't have that luxury. But here in the US, especially in the Western countries, there is a lot of R&D investment that goes to the university, that goes to the industry. And there is a lot of focus in science and technology. And I think that is one advantage that I can build my own research career here. And another advantage is also a larger look at the life. It's not only about myself, it's also about other people like who are living around me, different color, different religion, different character. I think, if I take aside my research profession, that's the best learning I got from my life, moving out of the country, learning different cultures and learning different people.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
And did you have any challenges in your journey?
There was always challenges. There was a lot of challenges. Language, food, mindset, many different challenges. And then I actually love the frustration, the agony to cope up with your surroundings, all the time. But at the same time, you are also learning. It's a very good experience. And I feel that when you move out of the country, if you think that I'm already outside of my comfort zone, I'm here to learn. And that aptitude for learning actually move you ahead. You just move on. You learn something, you make a mistake, or you get some success. That's the whole thing. Actually doesn't matter success or failure. It just it keeps you moving on. It's the aptitude for learning, I would say. I think everyone should move out of home at one part of their life, right? Just to learn, right? Like there is a saying that if you want to get educated, go to China. It's just saying that move out, go to a longer distance, meet different people, meet new people, right?
Yeah.
Make new culture, learn. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know if you have the same kind of experience, but when I decided to leave Italy and I left Italy, I moved to another country, I had the feeling that I could do anything with my life. I had the freedom to choose whatever I want to do and whatever I want to be in my life because for some reason, I connected with people that were taking a different career. I saw like people achieving their goals. I saw that, and in my head, I was like, I can do anything. I can be whatever I want.
Exactly. Another thing is this is I think very very important part that you take control of your own life. You have the control of your own life, what you want to do, and I don't know what kind of feeling is this. It's a whatever the success or failure in the course of this learning. There is a satisfaction in it that whatever I'm doing, either I'm failing or I'm getting success. It's all my decision. That's a freedom. And I actually had a friend who told me that you became a free spirit. And I said it's probably because of my reality.
Yeah, no, totally. I think moving to another country and starting another country with a new culture,
Right.
it's kind of put you, I don't know, make you more humble and more grounded.
Exactly. 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 Another thing is when you see that people have different mindset, different thinking pattern, different lifestyle, different culture, you no longer can actually live in yourself. You will feel humble that there is a lot of knowledge everywhere, and there is a lot of people. Actually, every single individual is an institute. You can, if you take it that way, there is a lot to learn from every individual. There is no way to build the ego that what I know is right. you know, and it's because you have seen a constantly changing world. You are aware of the diversity around you. It's a very interesting thing of moving to different countries, meeting different people, making friendship, the agony of success and failure in your professional life. Everything is, yeah, it's quite enjoyable. I'd say. I
Yeah.
enjoyed a lot.
Did you enjoy even like at the beginning when you were struggling?
Daniel, when you move out of the country, what are your basic need? A good place, a few people who would show you empathy or sympathy, whatever it is, and then probably some financial support, right? Moving out of my country, I was quite lucky. My airfare was paid. I had a place to live for free. It was paid by the university. I had monthly salary. But I met a lot of people from my country who moved out of the country just for the sake of a better life, for a better job. They did not move for education or anything. There were some street hawkers who were from Bangladesh. They were selling toys in front of the Leaning Towers in Pisa. And I looked at them. And when I looked at them, the struggle that they had when they moved out of I did not have the same struggle. So I was thinking that I actually had a pretty good start and I'm still living a good life. But I also had the opportunity to feel the struggle of those people. I talked to them. I actually spent quite a lot of time to talk to those people. I had very good friends who moved out of the country only for better life in the West. They left like 20, 30 years ago. And some of them still did not have a good financial condition, but they did not want to go back home. But so, sorry, I'm digressing a little
No,
bit,
no,
but
no, no.
it was a pretty good start. I did not have any although I was like quite sad. I was away from home. Those 2 weeks, initial 2 weeks of crying, and yeah, I had the same thing. But I had a pretty good start. Like my colleagues in Pisa, my professor especially, Professor Andrea Lazzeri, he was very supportive to me, and my colleagues were quite friendly. So Christina, Emanuele, Ilaria, I still have them as my friends. So, yeah, they were pretty good and very welcoming. So, never felt bad actually.
That's the beauty when you meet new people in the country. Like
Yeah,
it's the beauty that you have friends all over the world. It's I
yeah,
don't know.
right,
It's a cool thing. It's pretty
right.
cool. And going back to what you said about being humble and the people you met when you were in Pisa, because you're right. I mean, you had probably compared to other situations, you had a pretty good life, or you had a pretty good situation. It was kind of fairly easy situation for you to move to Italy or to move to the US. But at the same time, the situation it can be it's really subjective
Mhm.
because somebody compared their life to maybe they grew up in the US, they have a career, they just followed the normal path and they have a good career now. And look at your story, like, oh my God, you are like a tough life, because you have to go to a country, learn new language, start from the bottom and going up and on the ladder and whatever. So it's always like a very subjective, depend how you
Right.
look in the situation from.
Right, exactly. I mean, I'm sharing my experience from my perspectives, the way I see life. It can be different for a different person. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Because I can see even for myself, my friends from Italy, they see my situation and they keep telling me that I was brave, that I was courageous, that doing these things, it was hard. But then now I'm talking with people in my podcast and met more people from different countries. Actually, I met another person the other day that moved from somewhere near Turkey. I don't remember the country. His story was crazy. Escape, going to prison. They have to leave the country because it was like persecuted by the government. It was like a crazy story. And then you put in a situation like my life was actually pretty easy.
Exactly.
I left Italy.
Mhm.
I didn't escape from war. I left
Mhm.
my life in Italy just because I wanted something more. I was living a pretty good life.
Yeah.
So it's always
Yeah. Yeah.
depends on
You
perspective.
know, I had a friend. I learned a lot from him in Italy. So he was from Bangladesh. He left the country when he was 25 or 24 years old. He finished his master's degree and moved to Italy. Now, after 20 years, what he learned, he said that most of the people from Bangladesh who left the country just to live a better life, to get a better job in Italy, a lot of them actually had a different experience because they came abroad and then they faced the harsh reality, like they need to find a job, and then if they don't find a reasonable job, they have to do like live like a street hawkers. And so their perspective about life is very different, right?
Yeah.
How do you help them? So he had a theater, and in this theater he was like organizing plays, poetry, and always involved those young people who moved out of the country and now and is struggling for a better life. He always invited them, and then he wanted to motivate them about life in a positive sense. Whatever you are doing, however you are living your life, you have to enjoy your life. And I also joined him for a couple of months, but then he had to stop it. He could not do more. There was a lot of local problems, some local politics, and then he just wanted to move out of it. But a lot of people like who were struggling, who were young, who were in the school or in the college, and moved out of the country at a very early stage of their life and don't know where to go because they did not have the skill to have a good job. So they are doing job as a street hawkers or working in a restaurant or in a company as a fourth class labor. So it's very difficult situation for them. Their view of life is also very different. So you also need to give them a good thought of life, a good view of life, and also like some education, how to grow some skills in order to get a good job, a better job.
Yeah, you even like bring out a good point talking about the skills that you have when you move abroad.
Mhm.
You have the skills to be a scientist. You have your brain. You can use that skills in any country. You can provide value in multiple country. There's some other skills or other jobs that it's harder to move to another country. For example, if you are a lawyer in Italy, for example, you want to move to the US. You can't just like move to the US and be a lawyer, because you have to start your career from all over again, because you need to study all over again because the rules are different.
Yeah.
If you are, I don't know, if it's, some trades are just not compatible between countries.
Mhm.
And if you don't have any skills or you haven't worked for a long time, you don't have any work experience, it's harder to move abroad and find a job and find a sponsor to stay
Yeah.
in the country. So even that is not, it's something that I always take it for granted. But now I realize it, and I was pretty lucky that I chose the path that I chose to become an electrician, because you can be an electrician. Yes, the rules changes, but any country you go, they need electricians, so you can always start from that point.
Right. Yeah. And I think people are also learning this in different countries. Like they're getting some skillful jobs. They are getting skilled before they move out of the country. I think there is more movement of immigrants than before. And people also get more information or have access to more information than before. Yeah, I see a lot of students moving out of different countries, going to different countries. It's actually changing. I feel that this geopolitical barrier among different countries, probably it will go away at one point. I don't know. Like it's becoming a global village now, right? Literally, like I can talk to anybody anywhere in the world. I can see anybody anywhere in the world. And for education, for business, people like to move from one country to another, and it's happening quite frequently now.
Yeah, no, totally. Probably because technology, how the technology
Yeah.
connects people in a much easier way. Back in the days, you had to send a letter to, I don't know, to your parents, to your family back home. Now you can just FaceTime anytime you want. I can't even imagine if I have to send letters to my family in Italy and receive like a few weeks later. It would be much harder.
Yeah. I mean, now I talk to my mom and my dad over the Viber or the other apps, and they also learn how to run those apps. It's like a very big learning for them. I still miss those writing letters, though. Writing letters, like putting your thought in the paper. Right now, it's even more casual.
And do you feel lucky to be an immigrant?
Yeah, I feel like I feel lucky. Yeah, in the sense that I had a lot of opportunities to learn and see many different things. So yeah, you call it immigrant or what? I don't know. Yeah, I feel lucky. Right.
And if you could go back in time to any point in time, what would you say to your young self?
I would say that probably move out of home even at a younger age. Yeah, and at least I could explore more countries. Right. Yeah.
Do you
Right.
think you would have the mindset younger to actually do it?
When I moved out of the country, I was 25 years old, right? As I told you, I still feel that I'm stuck at that age. It's probably a mental trauma now. I feel like that I still, or probably it's my socio-economic situation that I always have to keep myself young and energetic to move on. I don't know. I still feel like I'm still stuck at that age.
I feel the same until I speak to somebody that's 25 years old and I feel old. And do you have any particular advice you would like to give to the listeners?
Um, I don't know, advice. No, I can share. I can share a view about life. Is that there is nothing definitive in life, and as soon as we accept that there will be uncertainties in life, but one thing that we have to keep in mind that is that we have to be open and need to have a mindset of an explorer. Give yourself an opportunity.
Yeah, and I think, in my opinion, it's easy when you are an immigrant, being like so open-minded.
Yeah, you have to be. Right.
Yeah, you have to be. You're right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Arif, to taking the time to share your story. If anybody related to your story wants to get in touch with you, how they can find you?
Yeah, I can reach by email. Email. I also have a Twitter account.
Mm-hmm.
That's in my name. Mir Shumon,
Okay.
Marsumon, or my email address, right? Arif Rahman, ArifRahman 83 at gmail.com.
Okay. I will put everything in the show notes for people so it will be easier to find you. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Arif.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Thanks for giving me these opportunities and especially sharing all these stories that I have ever shared with anyone. Probably, I don't know. Thanks a lot. I enjoyed this a lot.
It was my pleasure, especially because you kind of know a little bit of my culture. That was I felt like close to you because of you knew a little bit of my culture as well. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. Ciao. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. You can find the show notes with everything we discussed and the links to get in touch with Arif at immigrantslife.com/episode 28. If you want to support the show, You can share this episode with your friends, and you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Podchaser. If you'd like to share your story, you can send me an email at stories@immigrantslife.com or visit immigrantslife.com/yourstory. Thanks again for listening. Talk to you in the next one. Ciao!